The NFL may be witnessing the most shocking comeback story of the decade. Aaron Donald returning to Los Angeles could transform the Rams into an unstoppable defensive weapon. But can a 34-year-old legend survive one final war for another championship ring?
This season, Stafford set a single-season record, 46 touchdown passes on his way to winning the MVP. Just nearly untouchable. He ate up blitzes as well as both man and zone coverage. Sean McVay incorporated more 13 personnel into the offense. That really paid off for Stafford. He threw 20 touchdowns with the one running back and 3 tight ends on the field. That was 16 more than any other quarterback, EJ, which is why everybody wants to do it now. What needs to happen for this team, do you think, to get to the Super Bowl on their home field this season?
Yeah, well, Hannah, of course, it starts with the health of Matthew Stafford. But I would say the biggest piece for me is a healthy but mentally healthy Puka Nacua, who obviously has had some things go on this offseason. And look, when you have 1,700-plus receiving yards in 1 year of football, that's unbelievable. Now, I know JSN did it as well with Seattle, but look, that's a huge key to this offense. Now, if he's not able to be mentally right, I don't think you get that type of production. Now, when I think about Matthew Stafford as a quarterback, even when he was at Detroit, he had Megatron. Matthew Stafford's one of those guys who, when he has his guy, he feels extremely comfortable. So Puka Nacua being back, but not just physically healthy, but also mentally healthy, keeping his mind clear is going to be huge throughout this entire season for the Rams to make another Super Bowl run.
I think Matthew Stafford being at practice today is symbolic, that he's not that ticked off about the Ty Simpson pick, which is always a concern. I mean, this is the guy who was the best quarterback in football last year. I don't think it's a coincidence they gave him a lot of money last week to make him happy. I'd like to announce I'll show up to any practice for $55 million. I'm available. I might show up for practice for less than that. I'm open to negotiation. But I just think it goes back to when you see how good this team is out there and you see the defense in the front seven and guys like Jared Verse, how ready this team is to win the Super Bowl, you start to kind of roll your eyes again at the Ty Simpson pick. This is a franchise that a couple years ago won the Super Bowl because they went all in on the current team. Then they took their medicine, they rebuilt, and they're back to being contenders again. What I don't understand is why they decided to go all in 2028 or 2029 when they were on the cusp of another ring. It's baffling. The core right now can win the Super Bowl. They are my Super Bowl pick right now out of the NFC, but that Ty Simpson pick might come back to haunt them in January.
Is the potential return of Aaron Donald to the Los Angeles Rams. Donald, of course, played 10 years in the NFL from 2014 to 2023. It has been 2 years since he retired from the league. And just a couple of things I think that we can do here to set the landscape. First of all, the desire, the interest that Aaron Donald has shown in returning to the NFL really hasn't dissipated. Now, this first came up, of course, right after the Myles Garrett trade, which was on June 1st. And Pat McAfee talked to Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald expressed interest. I think people were wondering, is this for real? Is it not? And I think we know now that at least his interest in coming back is for real. He has been at the Rams facility. He has been training as if he's going to play this year. And my understanding is at this point, really what he's looking to see is if he can play at the level he's accustomed to. Now, again, the bar for that is a lot higher than it is for a lot of other players. And so that piece of it is important to remember. I think another thing that's sort of interesting about this is the Rams have not pushed him at all. The Rams have said, we'd love to have you back, but they're going to let him make his own decision. And this isn't a guy who spent the last 2 years wallowing in retirement. Like, it sounds to me from everything that I've heard, this is a guy who's really enjoyed being retired. And he's stayed in shape while he's been retired. But this isn't the sort of guy that is just, oh, my God, I can't do without football. I think what he sees here is A, an opportunity to compete for a championship, B, an opportunity to play on what could become an all-time defensive line. And so, you know, he's weighing those things. He's weighing where he is physically with where he's going to be perhaps in November and December and January. Now, I do think the Rams situation sets up nicely for him for a number of different reasons. The first one's the one that started all this, which is the trade for Myles Garrett. Having Myles Garrett on the defensive line with you, it's something that I think is enticing for Hall of Famers to play with other Hall of Famers. So there's that piece of it. There's also the fact that they've got good depth at the defensive tackle position. And this is where it looks a little bit different than the Eric Weddle comeback of a few years ago. When Eric Weddle came back, it was only for a month. It was also in a place where the Rams were in a desperate spot. They were in dire straits at the safety position. And as such, Eric Weddle played on third down and in the nickel in the first game. And then after that, he was full go. The Rams would not have to do that with Aaron Donald. They've got Kobe Turner. They've got Braden Fisk. They've got Poona Ford. They've got Tyler Davis. They really like their defensive tackle group. They look at it as the strength of the team. They're also very strong on the edge with, of course, Garrett, Byron Young, Josiah Stewart, somebody they drafted in the second round last year. So that defensive line group will allow them to manage Aaron Donald a certain way, which I think would appeal to him because you're going to have the opportunity to keep yourself fresh throughout the year. Not that he wouldn't want to play a full boat of snaps. I think that when it gets down to brass tacks, he's going to play as much as he can, but that at least gives him an opportunity to really compete at his highest level and sustain over the course of a year. Then the third thing, of course, would be the opportunity to compete for a championship. We know where the Rams were last year. They were right on the doorstep. The NFC title game, they were toe-to-toe with the Seahawks. They didn't get it done, but they played really well on offense in that game. And now this defense is bringing in Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, and Myles Garrett. So what was a really good defense last year that had some holes now looks like a more complete unit, ready to compete for a championship. And so this would add a layer to Aaron Donald's legacy that's pretty incredible. I think it'd be a nightmare for offenses to deal with. You're talking about dealing with all those big defensive tackles on first and second down. Then you slip Aaron Donald in there on third down. It's a totally different matchup. It'd be really difficult for an offensive lineman to deal with.
The impossible might be happening. Aaron Donald, one of the most dominant defensive players in NFL history, could be preparing for one final championship chase with the Los Angeles Rams. After retiring following a legendary 10-year career from 2014 to 2023, Donald walked away as a future Hall of Famer. But the fire never disappeared. And now, with the Rams building a championship-caliber roster, the question is no longer whether Donald misses football. The question is whether he believes Los Angeles can win another ring. Because this Rams team is dangerous. Matthew Stafford just completed one of the best seasons of his career, setting a franchise record with 46 touchdown passes and winning NFL MVP. The veteran quarterback was nearly unstoppable, attacking every type of defense and proving that his championship window is still open. But the Rams are not just relying on Stafford's arm. Sean McVay completely changed the offense, and the biggest reason behind Stafford's historic season was a formation that shocked the NFL. Sean McVay's use of 13 personnel became one of the biggest weapons in football. 1 running back, 3 tight ends. A simple idea that created impossible decisions for defenses. Stafford destroyed opponents in this package, throwing 20 touchdown passes from 13 personnel, 16 more than any other quarterback in the NFL. The Rams created mismatches everywhere. Defenses could not predict whether Los Angeles would run the ball, attack deep, or expose coverage weaknesses. This formula turned Stafford into an MVP-level quarterback. But now comes the biggest challenge. Can this offense stay healthy when the pressure of a Super Bowl run arrives? And the answer may depend on the health of Stafford's most trusted weapon. Puka Nacua could be the difference between a good Rams team and a championship team. The young receiver exploded onto the NFL stage with more than 1,700 receiving yards in a single season, immediately becoming one of the league's elite targets. But his impact goes beyond statistics. Matthew Stafford has always been at his best when he has a receiver he completely trusts. We saw it with Calvin Johnson in Detroit. Now we see it with Puka Nacua in Los Angeles. When Stafford has his guy, his confidence reaches another level. That is why Puka returning fully healthy, physically and mentally, could decide whether the Rams make another deep playoff run. But while the offense looks ready, the biggest question surrounding the Rams is happening on the defensive side of the ball. And it involves a legend. Aaron Donald does not need to prove anything. His legacy is already complete. But champions think differently. After the Myles Garrett trade, Donald publicly showed interest in potentially returning to football. What started as a rumor is now becoming a serious possibility. Reports suggest Donald has remained around the Rams organization and has been training as if another season could happen. But there is one major question. Can he still dominate? Because Aaron Donald is not trying to be an average defensive tackle. He is trying to be the same player who terrorized quarterbacks, destroyed offensive lines, and changed games by himself. The Rams are not forcing a decision. They are giving Donald the choice. Because this is not about money. It is about one final chance to win. And if Donald returns, Los Angeles may have the perfect situation waiting. The biggest reason Aaron Donald's return makes sense is simple. The Rams do not need him to carry the defense anymore. They already have talent. Inside, players like Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, PJ Mustipher, and Tyler Davis provide depth. On the edge, the combination of Myles Garrett, Byron Young, and Josiah Stewart creates a nightmare for offensive lines. The Rams could manage Donald's snaps, keep him fresh, then unleash him when the biggest games arrive. Imagine an offensive line surviving 4 quarters, only to see Aaron Donald entering on 3rd down. That is the nightmare scenario every quarterback fears. And now, everything comes down to one final question. Can this team finish the mission? The Rams were already close. They reached the NFC Championship game and proved they could compete with the best teams in football. The offense is ready. The quarterback is motivated. The young stars are emerging. And now, Aaron Donald could be the final piece. Some believe a 34-year-old defender cannot return and dominate like before. Others believe greatness does not disappear overnight. And that debate is exactly what makes this story unforgettable. Because if Aaron Donald returns to Los Angeles, the NFL will not just witness a comeback. It will witness a legend chasing history one more time. One more season. One more championship opportunity. One more war. Aaron Donald already built a Hall of Fame career. But the question now is simple. Is there one final championship chapter waiting to be written in Los Angeles?
Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.